Hello. My gosh, okay. I hope my Wi-Fi behaves today. We're back. If my audio is bad, please let me know. Okay. Yeah. I remember you telling us about that. But why? Why do you think Takano-san and I will be murdered? My. Frankly, it would be an honor for us to be the victims of the fifth curse of Oyashiro-sama. As I'd expected. They didn't really take me telling them that they'd be killed on the night of the festival seriously. They did keep their promise to tighten up my security after I showed them the ritual storehouse. However, they hadn't given one thought to their own safety. Oh well. Like I said, I didn't expect them to believe me. If they were willing to take me seriously, I could have easily changed their fate a long time ago. I'm only going to tell you this one more time. Tomitake, you're going to claw out your own throat and die. Takano, you're going to burn to death on top of some mountain. Going to claw out my throat? Like the terminal symptoms of L5. Don't worry, I took the shots. I don't have the disease. What happens to me is horrible too. I'm going to burn to death on some mountain. Do you have a dream about that? I just want the both of you to be careful. At least for tonight. Please listen to me, even if you don't really believe it. Did you have an ominous vision about some danger befalling us, perhaps? Don't worry. You're under the protection of the mountain dogs. You've had 8 security guards watching you today. Thank you very much. I know I'm being protected, but I want you guys to be careful too. Thank you for your concern. We'll be fine. I've even been working out. I can tell, bro. Look at those arms. I think I can protect myself. Tomitake flexed his biceps and smiled. He was probably trying to make me feel better, but all he really did was make me feel sadder. This is the sad part about being me. I know the future, but I can't tell them. It's as if that was a rule of the world. People tend to not believe what I tell them. But you are going to die. If Tomitake and Takano die, I'll be killed next. If the two of you are dead, who will protect me? It sounds like you had a horrible dream. Don't worry. Even if we die, the mountain dogs will still protect you. Are you really sure they would? They've never protected me before. That's not true. They saved you when you got in a fight, remember? They're watching you at all times. Of course they aren't on alert at all times, but just as you requested the other day, the security around you is still extremely strong. You even have a better security team than Dr. Idie. They'll keep on protecting me even after you die? Of course. You're the most important person to us. So, you're sure that we're going to get killed tonight? That's too bad. If you have no intention to survive, then I only have to worry about myself. My words must have left a mark on his heart. He looked much more serious after I said that to him. Good grief. Okay then, I'll be extra careful tonight. I'll take a security guard with me when I'm going back to Okinomiya. I think someone might attack the two of you if you're alone together. Make sure not to be alone with each other tonight. My, are you jealous? You're such a precocious girl. Like I thought, I can't change their fate. When we saved Sadoko, everyone shared the same sense of urgency. That's why we all got together and saved her before it was too late. However, these two have no sense of urgency at all. How can I make them understand? I sighed and gave up. Tomitake, Takano, goodbye. Thank you for everything. Hey, wait. Rika-chan! I had nothing else to say to them now. Instead, it might be worth talking to someone else. If I could get someone else to protect them, I might be able to change something. I can't give up yet. Fate is as thin as a piece of paper. It's just like the lid on a jar of jam. It's not going to open unless you believe it will. I have to believe that I could change my fate. If I don't, it's not going to change. Tomitake-san and Takano-san, are you sure about this? I told Irie about this so many times in the past. Irie tends to listen to me more seriously than Tomitake and Takano do. However, that doesn't mean that he can actually do something about it. I'm the shrine maiden of Oyashiro-sama, and I have a bad feeling about this. Is that not a good enough reason?
I understand. It might be a message from Oyashiro-sama. If that really happens tonight, it would be the 5th time in a row. I'll tell the two of them to be cautious too.
All Irie would end up doing would be warning the two of them, which was exactly the same thing as what I did. In other words, it wouldn't matter in the least. Irie is just a researcher, and he has no ability to deal with unexpected trouble. That's why Takano works for him after all. Please talk to them. Please. Who else would treat me seriously? Who would be able to prevent Tomitake and Takano's death? That's right. There's one man who's been fighting the curse of Oyashiro-sama with all his might.
Oh, it's Furude-san. I've been looking for you. Akasaka-san wants to say goodbye.
I guess he and I are not meant to be.
Nah, you're still upset about last week. Akasaka-san really regrets that he wasn't able to help you. He says he'd love to come back to Hinamizawa again, when he has his next vacation. Nah, But his wife took it personally. She's pretty, his wife, but she could be scary too.
Oh, Ishii. I have something important to tell you, but no one else believes me.
What's the matter?
I've spoken to him several times in the past, too. He usually takes me pretty seriously. However, after they die, he starts suspecting me. That's why I stopped talking to him.
Where did you hear that? Where at the festival?
I told him that I heard someone talking about murdering them in the crowd. That way, he might not be suspicious of me after the murder really happens.
Tomitake-san is not from around here, and with Takano-san, that makes 2 people. One is going to die, and one is going to disappear. This could be the 5th year's curse of Oyashiro-sama. I can't take this as anything more than a rumor, you understand? But just in case, we'll keep our eye on the 2 of them tonight.
I think they were saying that they were going to attack them somewhere between Hinamizawa and Okinomiya. Tomitake's body will be found on the road leading out of the village. From what I remember, he's discovered where the concrete road turns to gravel.
I see. I'll have a cruiser patrol around there. We can spare that at least.
He agreed to get involved, and he wasn't suspicious of me either. I'm sure it seems odd to people that Oishi actually believed this phony-sounding story of mine. The thing about Oishi is that he strongly believes that there's no smoke when there's no fire. I've learned from experience that he tends to believe my information. However, that personality of his caused me so much trouble in previous worlds. Of course, there's no question why he's so eager to believe me either. This is his last chance to expose the curse of Oyashiro-sama before his retirement. Even if it might be fake, he still wanted to believe it. That was convenient for me since I couldn't show proof.
Hey, Kuma-chan. You read? Can you hear me? Have a cruiser patrol the road back to Okinomiya. No, it's just a precaution. I heard a rumor that something bad might happen around there tonight. Yeah, 2 officers would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else believed me and I didn't know what to do.
This is my job to believe these things. We'll just be glad if nothing happens. Be happy to swing and miss. Well, that's what my late colleague used to say. Besides, it's even worse if you ignore what you're told and don't take precautions, you know?
I see. That's his way of thinking about things. That was why he believed me without question. I hope he won't consider me a suspect after they find their bodies tomorrow. I shouldn't worry about that now. I could still do more. Who else should I talk to? Should I talk to my friends? I can't give up. I should at least try. No way! You heard someone talking about that? On the day of the festival? That's so wrong. You mean the curse, right? You're talking about the curse of Oyashiro-sama that might happen tonight. Yes, it's happened 4 years in a row. Lots of people think that it's going to happen again tonight, too. What they believe is their business, but it's not nice for them to talk about Tomitake-san and Takano-san like that. I think you should talk to them about it just in case. I think. I already did, but they didn't believe me. I bet they didn't. But it's too late if something really does happen. I think you should talk to Oishi-san. I already did. Huh, I'm kinda impressed you've done all that, Rika-chama. I agree that they should take every precaution, especially tonight. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, commonly known as the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I really don't want them to keep happening every year. Somebody might end up imitating it, and it's bad publicity for the village too. So if nothing happens tonight, it just means the curse is over, right? We should definitely make sure that nothing happens then. What can we do? Are you suggesting that we should patrol around the village or something? I think patrolling might be even more careless. Do you really think we could do something about this? For starters, there's a chance some deviant trying to imitate the serial murders might be within the Watanagashi Preparation Committee, so let's be wary of any unfamiliar faces. It's easy for us to tell strangers apart from the locals. We can spot them right away. I think we'll be fine. But Tomitake and Takano will still be killed. Rika-chan, alright, let's try to do what we can. I agree. We can't protect them all night, but let's stay with them at least until the festival is over. As long as we're there, the bad guys won't be able to do anything to them. I couldn't tell if they really believed me or not, but they listened to me at least. We decided to keep our eyes on Tomitake and Takano and protect them for the rest of the night. I guess I've done everything I can now, though it's hard to believe this is enough to prevent their deaths. I just have to hope nothing's happened when I wake up tomorrow morning. Do you think you could prevent Tomitake and Takano's deaths, Rika? It might be impossible. Their deaths might be the bell that portends my doom. Oh. But Takano told me earlier that even if they die, the mountain dogs are supposed to keep protecting me. They might bring in more squads from Tokyo too. Even if they die, the situation will be different this time. What if it still doesn't work out? I'll just have to die. Anyway, I'm not going to give up until the very end. I'll struggle to my very limits. I won't give up and spend the rest of my time drinking wine. Do whatever you want to do, Rika. You still believe that nothing is going to change, Hanyu? I don't believe anything. It's only fate. I keep getting hurt because I have hope, huh? If I'm an actress trying to get up on the stage, Hanyu is a real bystander. We have very different opinions when it comes to this. Rika, no matter what happens, don't give up. That sounds like you're convinced that nothing is going to change. Lately, the things you've said have been pissing me off. Oh. I understand. Hanyu keeps telling me not to get my hopes up because she cares about me. Because I hope to defeat fate, I get hurt when that hope is betrayed. And the more I get hurt, the closer I get to losing my mind and disappearing. For Hanyu, that means losing her only friend. Losing me is probably the most unbearable thought for Hanyu, since she has to live alone, unable to communicate with anyone else. I now believe that fate can be changed. Even when I didn't have that faith, I still believed that eventually I'd find a way to get out of this maze. Perhaps Hanyu knows something that I don't. Hi, Risa! Yippee! Welcome, how are you? Why are you crying? No! Don't cry. It might just be a goldfish inside of a fishbowl. There might be no way for me to escape my fate. We're stuck alone inside of a fishbowl, yet every day I knock on the glass, believing that I can break it someday. No first for you, it's okay. The first and not first are technically still the same, so you still get a yippee. I hope you're doing well, though. Hanyu keeps telling me that I'm wasting my time. If I get hurt and die, she would have to survive all by herself inside the fishbowl. With that, I think I finally understand our difference of opinions. Hanyu has lived for a much longer time than I have. Because of that, she understands the laws of this infinitely spanning world better than I do. No matter how much I refute Hanyu, I can never refute the truth. Even so, I still have to believe in my own faith. I believe in a spear that'll pierce the wall of fate. My faith will make that spear sharper than ever. We found Tomitake in the crowd and struck up a conversation with him to keep him around as long as we could. However, as soon as the festival ended, they tried to leave. If they left now, I'd never see them again. Mion tried insisting that they stay at her house for the night, but Tomitake refused. Everyone tried various ways to stop them from being alone because the murderer might be around. However, we eventually started to believe that they wanted to be alone for adult reasons, and I wound up suggesting that we shouldn't interrupt the two lovebirds. Don't worry, Rika-chan. Tomitake-san is a man after all. I'm sure he'll do anything to protect Takano-san. Is that so? If something happens, you'll rescue me, right? That's the plan. Well, we really should go now. It's getting pretty late. Thank you for your concern. Don't make any assumptions. I'm heading to the clinic because I left something there. Takano-san has the key, so we have to go together. Oh, I didn't know that you were into playing doctor. Nah, I think he's more into playing gynecologist. These kids. Crash, bang, wham! Oh, I wonder how they play doctor. I wonder. Don't hit them just because you feel embarrassed. And as for you two, stop only getting along when you're making dirty jokes. Goodbye, everyone. I really am just going back there to get what I forgot. Don't follow us, okay? Yo, that's sus, though. Tomitake, please be careful. I do think you're overreacting, Rika. Everyone laughed when Satoko yawned. It seemed like a good time to call it a day. It doesn't feel like I was about to change their fate. I just hope that they pay attention, and that they're prepared for whatever faces them. I still might have a chance. All I could do now is pray. Goodbye, Tomitake-san. Please show us the pictures you took next time.
Make sure you wear your punishment shirt.
Man, I'm so jealous you get to spend a night with a pretty lady. Woohoo! See you guys again. I guess it'll be in fall. That's if we don't get killed tonight. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
That was the best I could do on the night of Watanagashi. They're so unserious about it. Like, what are we supposed to do about this? It's crazy. What do you want from us, you guys? Please tell me what happened this night. This is like a box with a cat inside. Please tell me what happened this night. I don't even know if the cat is alive or dead inside the box. Please tell me what happened this night. Cat in the box is dead. Rika Berncastel. Tomitake gathered up his paperwork and slipped it inside his bag. Sure, we're persistent. I wonder if they really want us dead. How rude of them, huh? It was only a dream. Please make sure that Dr. Irie examines Rika-chan. Her nightmares might be a symptom of something. If anything happens to her, it would be a disaster. Takano touched Tomitake's hand gently. As he turned bright red, Takano moved in closer and spoke. The way she acts is just too sexy, Tomitake thought. Hey, Jiro-san. I have something very important to tell you. Will you listen to me? What is it? You have something to tell me too? I hope you didn't see me claw out my own throat in a dream. What would you say if I did? Eh? Takano stared at him with a mischievous look, as if seducing him, and started whispering into his ear. I'm really surprised. That girl might have a godlike power after all. What does that mean? Takano smiled gently and pulled back her hair. Even seeing her do that made Tomitake's heart race. I really like you. That's good to know. Takano's fingers curled around Tomitake's chin, stroking, tickling, and caressing it. Her movements were very captivating and seductive. I've dated a lot of guys, but none of them interested me as much as you. I've learned that somebody with a personality like yours makes the ideal partner for me. You're willing to accept everything I stand for. I believe that you understand me completely. That's why I can give you everything I have. I want you to accept everything about me. Do you understand? Well, Takano-san, what's the matter? Her voice didn't really sound that affectionate. Tomitake knew from experience that he couldn't grasp what was on her mind when she wore a cold smile like that. Finally, it's almost here. It seemed as though she couldn't wait for something to happen. There was a chilling allure to her strange smile that made one question if something exciting was really about to happen. What? What's almost here? Tomitake asked, trying hard to resist the temptation. The day my dream comes true. Your dream? Yes, my dream. Didn't I tell you before? Or do you forget about everything we talk about in bed? No, I remember. Your dream. Tomitake's response was vague. Either he didn't remember, or he hadn't understood it very well. Finally, the curse of Oyashiro-sama is going to come true. That's what I've been dreaming about ever since I was a child. Jiro-san, listen. I can't be with you anymore. What? What do you mean? You see, I belong in a different world. Hinamizawa is where humans and demons once coexisted. That's why we met each other here. But all that is going to come to an end soon. The eclipse of the sun brought humans and demons together. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Takano-san, did you drink a bit too much at the festival?
Hi Kata, how are you? Sorry, my stream is kinda laggy right now. But yeah, how are you doing? Feel free to refresh the stream, guys. It should be ad-free for another 30 minutes or so. Hopefully. Yeah, how are you? Hope you're doing well.
You're drunk, right?
Tonight is a night of farewells. Thank you for teaching me about the sunlit realm. Your warmth was like the glow of the midday sun. We really did have a wonderful relationship. I'm so sad that we have to say goodbye.
She pulled herself away from Tomitake and slowly stepped back, as if signaling the time had come for them to part. I don't know what you're trying to say. What's this all about, Takano-san?
I want you to make a decision. I want you to decide to stay with me and abandon the sunlit realm. What you told me was all true, then I know you have no doubts.
By that time, Tomitake understood that Takano was asking him to make an important decision. Could it be? You're...
That's right, Jiro-san.
Tomitake got up from his seat and looked Takano straight in the eyes. There was a faint glimmer of hostility within those eyes.
Is your work more important than me? I thought so.
Can't believe this. I trusted you! Those words were ones of rejection. Takano's lips twisted into a cruel smile.
Oyashiro-sama united the humans and the demons, but I guess he can't unite you and me.
Takano slowly opened the door. 6 men in overalls were standing there at the ready. Tomitake was frozen in shock. The 6 men walked up to Tomitake with no expressions on their faces. It was immediately obvious that they were going to do something to harm him. What is this all about?
Hinamizawa syndrome is like a bomb with a lit fuse. Your plan is to dismantle the bomb before it explodes. However, there are some people in Tokyo who want to see it go off.
No! What good will that do for anyone?
Nobody ever does anything that isn't beneficial to them. Therefore, if they wanted the bomb to explode, it must be doing good for someone. Your question just now is a pretty meaningless one.
I can't believe this. There are people who want this to happen? Hinamizawa syndrome is a very dangerous disease. You know that as well as I do.
I do. It would be a disaster if it had an outbreak. Tokyo wouldn't be able to cover it up either.
Did that faction bribe you?
It was actually my mission from the very start. I'm so sorry. We belonged in different worlds from the moment we first met.
What are you going to do to me?
It would be a great help if you came over to our side. Of course, that would mean that you'd have to betray your own people.
You're expecting me to turn on them?
Jiro-san, if your feelings for me are real, will you support me? You'll be compensated, of course. If you wish, I'll dedicate my whole life to you. I'll do whatever you want me to, whenever and wherever you want. My body will belong to you. You can dominate me to satisfy your needs whenever you like. I'm willing to be all yours. Hey, don't you want to dye this body of mine in your scent?
Her words were a kind of assault, directly hammering at the emotions men had difficulty resisting. They were like an evil spell to control his heart. Upon hearing them, Tomitake felt an unknown sensation run up his spine as his feet froze in place, entranced.
However, he forced himself to resist the temptation. He sealed the cracks in his wall of reason to stop Takano from forcefully entering his heart. Ugh. I refuse. She had known from the start that Tomitake was going to refuse her. Even so, Takano let out a triumphant laugh. It's funny. She thought Tomitake would refuse right away. However, it took him a while to refuse because of how effective she was at seducing him. The time it took him to refuse her was one of victory for Takano. For Tomitake, it was a time of humiliation. Takano continued to laugh. She sounded rather like an evil witch. Thought you would say that. That's why I love you so much. They whip out the photo negative? Facts, they really do. It's what happens when things get sus. Yo, who is this man's? Takano raised up her right hand and gave a signal to the mountain dogs. Okonoki-kun, you're betraying me too? I'm sorry, Lieutenant Tomitake. Are you surprised? The mountain dogs work for me. It was us who controlled this clinic all along. You and Dr. Irie are the only people who didn't know. Crap. Tomitake moved into action, sensing the danger that was about to befall him. His fist thrust out as quick as lightning, knocking one man down before he could even blink. However, the other mountain dogs certainly weren't going to just stay there and watch. They all attacked him as one. He tried to strike back with an elbow, but he simply couldn't overcome the difference in numbers. Tomitake tried his best, but soon enough the mountain dogs had wrestled him to the ground. Why does he look shrimpy here? Where are the arms, bro? Dang it! Let go! Let me go! Stop struggling already. Arrgh! They pinned him down so that he couldn't move an inch. Impressive, Jiro-san. You fought pretty well, considering you were up against 6 people. Takano walked over and smiled while looking down at Tomitake. Hey, Jiro-san. I know you're going to refuse, but let me ask you one more time. Will you change your mind and join my side? Never! I'll never join with you. Urgh! That's what I wanted to hear. So I could sever all my attachments. Takano was holding a small case in her hands. She opened it and showed Tomitake what was inside. What's in that syringe? Oh, come now. I'm sure you know what it is. No. We destroyed all of them. Jiro-san, let me guess what you're thinking. Even if this is what you think it is, you should still have the immunity because you took the vaccine. What does, shrimp the hunks? What does? Also, I think might be delayed again, maybe. So if you guys want to refresh, there are still like 25 minutes, so. Isn't that what you're thinking? That's why you're not scared, right? Well, let me tell you something nice. That vaccine you took before you came here was fake. You may not have noticed it, but you're already an L3 patient of the Hinamizawa syndrome. Jiro-san, you have a tendency to look away when you get an injection. That's not very smart. You should always make sure of what you're getting. Crap! Let me go! Tomitake struggled to get away, but he simply couldn't move. Upon seeing his sorry state, Takano laughed with glee. I'm sure you know very well about H173. You'll become infected instantly, and will virtually become an L5 patient. You saw how the experiment turned out, no? The subject was displaying extreme irritation in the neck and armpit areas. Based on our past studies, patients with L5 suffer from extraordinary irritation in their lymph nodes. It might be an antigen-antibody reaction. In other words, Jiro-san, if you're lucky, you might be able to die just as Rika-chan predicted. Are you going to kill yourself, or become disabled for life? Which would you prefer? Which one, Jiro-san? Stop! Stop! It's going to be too difficult to give him the injection like this. Put him to sleep, please. Oh, it's so over for him. One of the men covered Tomitake's mouth with a towel soaked in some kind of chemical. He tried to fight it off with all his might, but his strength eventually left him, and he became as quiet as a beached whale. Takano stroked his face to make sure that he couldn't resist. Then she brought the needle towards his throat. She pushed it right into his skin. As she squeezed down on the syringe's plunger, the skin surrounding the tip of the needle swelled up, and eventually the contents were absorbed into his body. Goodbye, Jiro-san. When you wake up, you'll be in the middle of a wonderful nightmare. The mountain dogs finally got off of him. He couldn't even twitch. Someone put him in my trunk. The two of the men lifted up Tomitake and carried him outside. Oh, hold on. I'm sure he'd be happy if I left him his bicycle. That way he can enjoy cycling in hell, too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Rest in pieces, facts.
The mountain dogs all quietly laughed at the joke.
We're now going to commence Operation Doomsday.
Oh, was that Takano Mabi? No, that's Okonogi. Oh, wait, this is a... Oh, is this a woman? Mabi! Sorry, ma'am, your arms, they're crazy. They stopped laughing as she began to speak. Or... Wait, no? Are they... This writing is confusing me! Who are you? He said the mountain dogs were men, right? I am confused. Okonogi, you wait for the contact from headquarters. Keep your eyes on Dr. Irie. Also, keep tabs on Rika Furude, too. I don't know what kind of power she has, but she predicted how Tomitake was going to die. I'm very curious about her, but too bad.
Roger. I'll take care of things here. Please be careful on your way.
There's not much to be careful of. By the way, where's Dr. Irie?
I'm sure he's attending the festival's after-party. He's still at the shrine.
I wish I could see the look of panic on that nerd's face. The mountain dog started laughing again, too. Takano checked the time on her watch. It was nearly 10 p.m. Most people must have left the festival for home. Those people still there were probably enjoying the after-party while getting drunk inside the shrine. It was a good time for her to leave without being seen by anyone. I'm leaving now. I'm going to go and die. After saying that, she left the clinic alone. She left through the back door. She left amid the moonlight, the singing of the insects, and the sound of a river. It was a typical night in Hinamizawa. While enjoying all these sensations, Takano got inside her car. Tomitake was sleeping inside the trunk. His bicycle, on the other hand, was loaded into her back seat. How ironic. Your bicycle has a better seat than you. I'll let you out of there soon. I should leave him by the road that leads to Okinomiya. That'll be a good spot. Takano found a good place to drop him off, but she gave up on it as there was a police cruiser parked in the area. She figured that they were probably patrolling to make sure the 5th year's curse didn't happen. Good job, officers. No one would ever suspect that there's a curse packed in my trunk right now. Takano drove onto the less lit streets with rougher roads. Eventually, the mountain road ended and she was surrounded by darkness. There were rice fields nearby. She could tell by the sound of the croaking frogs. Takano parked her car by the pitch-black roadside. She had to stop here, otherwise she'd be too close to a residential area. Indeed, she was nearly in Okinomiya. She would have dumped him earlier, but the police cruiser had foiled that plan. Takano pulled Tomitake out of the trunk and left him by the road. She also left him his bicycle. Tomitake let out a small groan. It probably wouldn't be long until he woke up. Goodbye, Jiro-san. Your awkward sweet talk was very entertaining. I wish I could hear it again. You'll be waking up soon. By that time, you'll be in the final stage of L5. After a futile struggle, you'll meet with a miserable demise. I wonder if you really are going to cloud your throat and die. I wish I could be here to see it. Your mysterious death and my disappearance will complete the 5th year's curse of Oyashiro-sama. The story of the curse of Oyashiro-sama will firmly be established. You should feel honored, Jiro-san. You're going to be a part of history. You might be losing your life here, but in a way, you're going to live for an eternity. That was her last farewell to Tomitake. Takano got back inside her car and started driving. She could see the place she left Tomitake in her rearview mirror, but it was always shrouded in darkness. Takano drove through the main streets of Okinomiya and made a few turns, heading for the dark mountains in the distance. It had been a while since she left Hinamizawa. It was almost midnight. She might have already made it to the neighboring prefecture. It was difficult to tell because she couldn't really see anything in the darkness. Well, maybe you should turn your lights on, girl. Takano stopped her car in the middle of all that. After turning off both the engine and the headlights, there really was nothing but darkness surrounding her. It was as if time itself had stopped. Takano wasn't sure how long she waited, but eventually she saw the headlights of a car blinking twice. She blinked her own headlights back at it. Soon she saw several people walking towards her. Two men wearing blue overalls knocked on the window of Takano's car. Obligingly, she opened it. They looked over her face and the paperwork they had in their hands. Hello, I'm Takano. After confirming her identification, they called someone over the radio. Hello, we've got the lady. Anyone following? No one is after you. You're clear for 400 meters. Nobody's following us. Your work is much appreciated. Please come with us to the command vehicle. I'll take your paperwork. The paperwork is inside the trunk. Here's the key. I do need some coffee. Would you get me some? Whoa! Look at that! That's crazy! The command vehicle was a trailer with a bunch of high-tech communication equipment inside. The light of the electric equipment shone beautifully in the dark. Here's your coffee, Major. Another man in blue overalls offered her a paper cup. Thank you. What's going on with my corpse? They finished setting it up in Gifu Prefecture. Gifu? Did I burn to death in the mountains of Gifu? I'm not sure about the cause of death. I'll confirm it with someone. Operation Doomsday. That was the name of their mission. The goal of the operation's first stage was Takano's escape from Hinamizawa and the extraction of 18 specific classified documents. That goal had been completed. Assassinating the liaison from Tokyo, Tomitake, was also one of the goals. I don't know if I said that right. That one had also been completed in the way Takano had planned. He was not killed that way just because Takano had wanted to see it. It was intentionally planned that way, so that the office in Tokyo would be suspicious of the Iria Institute. They were trying to create the story that the Institute was upset with the recent budget cuts and the cancellation of their study. Tomitake's mysterious death would be a suitable way to persuade people. Tomitake was not the only one who was expected to die. Takano was expected to do so as well. However, Takano didn't really need to die herself. They had acquired a substitute body for her, so she didn't actually have to die. Takano had no idea how they got the body. According to what she heard, a team in Gifu took care of everything. Once Tomitake and Takano were dead, Tokyo would definitely grow suspicious of the Iria Institute. The main purpose of this mission was to make the Institute look reckless. I'm sorry, Major. There's been a problem in Gifu. A problem? What sort of problem? They made a mistake with the corpse. The body's already been dead for 24 hours. I see. Then I wonder how things will play out. In other words, you're saying that I was already dead as of yesterday. Takano's body was supposed to be selected from the corpses of people who had died the same day. The plan was to then burn the body and make identification of the corpse more difficult. They'd found a suitable body for the plan. However, they just found out that it had been dead for over a day. That would create a hole in their plans. They're going to collect another body to use instead. No, that's fine. We can still use that body as me. Huh? But that would mean... Messenger of Uyashiro-sama was long dead, but came to the festival regardless. That's a good one. That's a very, very good one. Takano laughed with satisfaction for a while. The other people in the vehicle couldn't understand why Takano was laughing so much. Takano continued to laugh as if it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Go ahead. Call the team in Gifu and tell them to stop looking for another body. I think this will make for an interesting twist.
Are you sure? Shouldn't you be more cautious?
Don't worry. Everyone saw Mio Takano walking around at the Watanagashi festival. Even if the forensics lab does find out that the body's been dead for more than a day, they'll just think that the test results were wrong.
Takano almost seemed to be enjoying the risk. Roger. I'll notify them.
By the way, was my body burned inside of an oil drum?
Yes, it seems someone already discovered it on the mountain near the freeway.
Takano seemed surprised to hear that from him. Then she started laughing strangely again. Nobody could figure out why she was laughing like that. I see. The reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama really is gifted. I have to admit, she has a supernatural power that defies explanation. Tell the mountain dogs in Hinamizawa to tighten up security on R.
Roger. Major, the Okinomiya Police Department has discovered the body of Tomitake.
They have, huh? The show is about to begin.
Oh, Ishi-san, Dr. Irie has arrived. Oh, thank you for coming. So, what do you think, Dr. Irie?
Oishi entered the area enclosed by a blue tarp. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the dead body from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to the dead body of Jiro Tomitake. When he stood up, he was white as a sheet. Can't believe it.
Yup, I can't believe it either. As far as I see, he clawed out his throat with his bare hands. This isn't a normal way to die. Most likely it's some kind of dangerous drug. Oh, most likely some kind of dangerous drug must have caused it.
Were you saying that he was a drug addict?
I don't know. Was he? It's going to be my job to find that out.
Oh, Ishi-san. What's this 2x4 doing here?
I think he was swinging it around, and then he threw it away, and he had more fun clawing out his throat, I guess.
Why? Why was he swinging that 2x4 around?
He probably did it in self-defense. Did you notice there are several external injuries on his body?
Yes, I could see some bruises.
The easiest explanation I can think of is this. He was attacked by someone on his way home to Okinomiya after the festival. He was seized by the culprit, given a shot of some kind of dangerous drug, went crazy, and died.
I've never heard of any drug that could make people claw out their throats.
I'm not an expert on it either, but they say self-harm is one of the terminal symptoms for drug addicts, right? Well, I'm sure the old men in forensics will take care of the investigation.
Excuse me. Oh, Ishi-san. We found a bicycle believed to belong to Jiro Tomitake a mile away from here.
Oh, is that so? Thank you. Did you find anything on it?
Not yet. They're investigating it right now.
So, that means the place where the bicycle was found is most likely the place he was attacked. And he ran away from the culprit and came here.
Oishi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Irie was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitake, and he kept saying the same thing. It's impossible. It's just impossible. Irie knew right away that Tomitake's death was caused by the terminal symptoms of the Hinamizawa syndrome. He hadn't swung the 2x4 at a real person, but probably saw some kind of hallucination due to the L5 symptoms. Violent reactions to hallucinations is one of the clearest characteristics of the terminal stage. However, Tomitake supposedly took a vaccine before he came to this village. There was no way that he could reach L5 symptoms in such a short period of time. Irie didn't want to believe it, but it was obvious that someone intentionally injected him with the pathogen. The pathogen must have been strong enough to give him L5 symptoms immediately. The only drug that can do that is H173, a chemical weapon that induces an acute onset of symptoms. It makes people hallucinate, which inevitably leads to a horrible death. If the absolute worst kind of demon. However, they had destroyed all of it due to its dangerous nature. All that was left were helpful chemicals, such as vaccines and treatment drugs. Tomitake was their liaison from Tokyo. Whoever killed him must have had full knowledge about him and this drug. How would that person know that he was their liaison? It was then that Irie thought of Takano. Takano is also a watchdog from Tokyo. She's something like a superintendent. It was quite possible that something bad had happened to her too. What about Takano-san? What happened to Takano-san?
What? Oh, are you talking about your nurse? I think she was
with him. Is she okay?
Do you know her phone number?
Of course.
Kuma-chan, get her phone number from Dr. Irie and have someone at the station call her home.
Understood. Doctor, can I have the number? Yes, here it is. Kumagai got the phone number, repeated it to make sure he got it right, and dashed out of the blue tent.
Doctor, Takano-san and Tomitake-san were close friends, weren't they?
Yes.
Have you heard about any troubles between them?
No. Not even once. They were very close friends. Tomitake and Takano weren't just in a close relationship. They were co-workers sent from Tokyo. They had access to information that even Irie didn't. There's no way there was trouble between them.
I don't think it was trouble per se, but there was definitely something. Well, I hope she's alright. In the worst case scenario, she could be dead. Or she could even be the perp. I see. Nurses do have access to dangerous drugs, don't they?
We don't have any drugs like that at my clinic. Even if we did, we'd store them with extra care. There's no way Takano-san could smuggle out a drug from my clinic.
But it's easier for nurses to do it than for regular people, right?
Like I said, I've never heard of a drug like that, and I don't have anything like that in my clinic. Irie made clumsy excuses while he tried to piece together what was going on. However, Irie had no means of knowing the state of affairs in Tokyo, and he couldn't reach any further conclusions. So it was easy to laugh at him, as though he's a frog trapped in a well.
Oh, Ichi-san, she isn't home. The standby unit says they're going to her house to check. Doctor, can you give me her address? Kuma-chan, can you also check if the police headquarters has found any unidentified female bodies tonight? Maybe we should check with the other prefectures too. Get the section manager to call all the nearby prefectural headquarters and ask if they have any unidentified female bodies.
Yes, sir. The Okinomiya Police Department is contacting the Gifu Prefectural Police Department. Are you sure about this, Major? Sure. I don't mind. Just leave it there. Doomsday has almost arrived anyway. Everything will be destroyed before they even find out that the time of death doesn't match. You're evil! You evil, evil lady! You're so evil! The day after Watanagashi, Ooishi showed up at our school. It isn't uncommon for Ooishi to show up here today. Interestingly, he always asks to see the most key person in that world. Oh, it's Rika. He asked for Keiichi in the world where he gets sick. He asked for Rena in the world where she gets sick. In this world, he asked for me. Did Tomitake really die? Hi, Fluffs. Welcome. How are you? Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. The way he went was pretty strange, too. Like he was on drugs and hallucinating.
Mommy! Yes. It's me. Hello, hello. How are you? Also, sorry for all the buffering. It's pretty bad today. Not to the point where I have to stop stream, but it's definitely annoying. Yeah, if you guys need a refresh, feel free to do so. There's 5 minutes of no pre-rolls, and then I'll probably run like a minute ad so that we can stop the pre-rolls again. This is yucky.
I couldn't prevent it. There's nothing I can do now.
Higurashi, glad to hear it. That's great.
I knew this was going to happen. I'm sure Takano is dead too. Takano?
I have bad news about her too. She was found burned to death in the mountains over in the Gifu prefecture. Based on the condition of the body, she was choked to death before her body was burned. It's a tragic story no matter how you look at it.
I know what you're thinking. You think I know something about what happened to them.
Heavens, no. I only have one question. Who would talk about such a disturbing plan at the festival where anyone could hear?
You think I'm involved in this murder?
Well, I wanted to suspect you, but I don't. If you were responsible in some way, you wouldn't have given me the hints you did. At the very least, I'm sure you're not involved with the people who killed them.
I'm glad you're not suspicious of me.
She threw a 10-yen coin into the offering box and shook the bell in prayer. Please let us solve the mystery of Hinamizawa this year.
Are you trying to get me involved in your investigation?
I was just talking to Oyashiro-sama.
She is well aware that people call me the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. That must have been his attempt at a joke. I'd like to see the curse disappear forever too.
Oh, that means we both want the same thing.
I made a prediction about where you might find Tomitake's body. Didn't you have a police cruiser nearby?
Yeah, I listened to your prediction and had a cruiser patrol the area. Place where the concrete and gravel roads meet. It's on the very border of the village. It gets very dark there at night. It always seems like if something bad were to happen, it could happen there.
So where did you find Tomitake's body?
I found him dead by the rice fields near Okinomiya.
That's not where his body is usually found. If he was fated to hallucinate and die, he would die in exactly the same spot, whether the cruiser was there or not. Just because the cruiser was placed there, Tomitake's body was found in a totally different spot. In other words, the existence of the police cruiser disrupted that fate.
Anyway, there's something else I found very interesting. I told the officers in the police cruiser to check every vehicle that passed by. As it turns out, one of the cars that headed towards Okinomiya after the festival was over was Takano's.
Takano lives in Okinomiya. It wouldn't be strange for her to head back home after the festival.
However, she was the only one inside the car. Tomitake wasn't with her. Oh, Oishi, you have no idea.
Tomitake always comes to Hinamizawa on his bike.
And she could have loaded his bike in the trunk and given him a ride. But he was not with her. However, his body was found among the rice fields near Okinomiya, past where the police cruiser was patrolling in Hinamizawa.
What are you saying?
There's no way he could have biked through the dark woods to avoid the police cruiser. He somehow took the road without being noticed by us. Furude-san, can you tell me what you know about the relationship between Tomitake and Takano?
They're dating. That's all I know.
I find it hard to believe that Takano would drive back home alone in the dark without her boyfriend. What if she had Tomitake in her trunk and was planning to dump his body in the woods? But because the cruiser was in that area, she had no choice but to pass by and dump him on the side of the road.
Both Tomitake and Takano were sent here from Tokyo. I have no idea what their real identities are. I can't say that Takano had no reason to kill Tomitake. However, I've never considered that possibility before in my life. Takano killing Tomitake? But why? I can't think of any reason. Nothing comes to mind. And it's hard to imagine Takano was cornered to the point she had to kill him. In fact, it was more plausible to think she was enraged when the lovesick Tomitake acted cold towards her and she strangled his neck.
I never really thought they suited each other. I don't mean to insult Tomitake-kun, but I thought Takano-san was way too smart for him.
Have you heard of any rumors that she was trying to use him for anything?
None. But I can ask around. I'll let you know if I find out something.
Thank you very much. I'm just glad that the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama is on my side.
But even the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama couldn't solve this mystery for over 100 years. But you said Takano was killed too. How can she be the culprit?
Well, it's because you leaked me the information. I mean, the prophecy. Without that, I'm sure I would have just believed that both Takano and Tomitake were the victims of the 5th year's curse of Oyashiro-sama. Feel like it's different this time. Maybe as though this is someone trying to make the curse of Oyashiro-sama happen.
So you really think that Takano-san is the culprit? Basically, this is what Oishi is trying to say. They're not both victims. The culprit is also pretending to be a victim. This is really hard for me to believe. I can't think of any reason why Takano would do something like this. Oishi only feels the way he does because he doesn't know her as well as I do. For another thing, how can he explain that Takano's body was found? Didn't the police in Gifu Prefecture identify the body?
For a charred corpse, the easiest way to identify them is by their dental records. Although, according to the old men in forensics, they're still not 100% sure. And besides, there's a contradiction with the estimated time of death. It just doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
Well, the test results show that she was dead on the night before the festival. Apparently, they inspected the contents of her stomach and such. But at the time of testing, they already had information about Takano. They knew that she was at the festival that night, and they realized that the test results didn't match up. So they just dumped the results and decided to take the dental records alone. These things do happen every once in a while. However, if Takano really is the culprit, this body might belong to someone else.
Is it possible to do something like that?
When a body is burnt, dental records are the only way to identify it. This might sound like too much of a mystery novel, but what if, for example, someone faked Mio Takano's dental records? If they were skillfully forged, we could have the wrong ID. Anyway, the Gifu Police Department has made up their mind that the body belongs to Takano. Within police departments, we sometimes have issues with false test results. That's how most false charges are made. It feels to me like this is one of those times.
So you think Takano is alive?
Since last night, both Mio Takano and her car have gone missing. If that body found in Gifu isn't Takano, this is going to be very interesting indeed. Oh, she's smarter than I gave him credit for. Look at him go. Also, I'm going to run a quick 1-minute ad so that we can stop the pre-rolls. So feel free to stretch, get some water, go to the bathroom, take a break, and we'll be back shortly. Alright, welcome back, guys. Feel free to refresh if you need to. Hopefully 20 minutes will be enough for finishing up this segment. We shall see. Irie had already heard about the deaths of Tomitake and Takano. It seemed like both the clinic and the office in Tokyo had flown into a panic over it. It's funny how they make such a big fuss about their own people when they don't care about what happens to other people's lives if it would get in the way of their research. Takano's subordinate, Okonogi, was in the room. Okonogi is the leader of the mountain dogs. It's Rika again.
I came here to make sure he's still willing to protect me. Based on past experience, they tend to lose interest in protecting me after Takano dies. Okonogi, Takano is dead, but am I still safe?
Don't worry, Rika-san. We're still keeping up the tight security around you. You don't have to call the police.
I guess this is part of that tight security. They must have been listening to my conversation with Oishi. Oishi told me something. Is it true that Takano isn't really dead?
That can't be true. The Gifu Police Department made an official announcement. That Oishi is retiring this year, isn't he? Sometimes he makes up stories because he's desperate to solve the curse of Oyashiro-sama. You shouldn't pay attention to anything he says.
Well, he's not wrong. This year is Oishi's last chance. Because he's so desperate, he's developed a bad habit of listening to every rumor he hears.
What's your opinion about this, Okonogi?
Right now they're still investigating, so I can't say anything. Knowing the relationship between those two, I think it's clear that it was done by someone within the organization.
Glanced over at Irie as I listened to Okonogi speak. It seemed that whoever he was talking to over the phone was accusing him of killing them. Irie was frantically trying to prove his innocence. Soon enough, he hung up the phone. Irie looked upset that he was under suspicion after working so hard for the organization.
Oh, Rika-chan, I'm sorry for making you wait.
It seems like you're in big trouble.
Just as you heard. It sounds like there's some big conspiracy behind their deaths. People in Tokyo think that I'm the one who's pulling the strings. Good grief. I have a lot of questions as to how they figured that.
I rarely ever saw Irie get so emotional. He must be feeling as though all his effort is being repaid with injustice. However, it's a fact that Irie was trying to fight against the budget cuts and downsizing of his research team. Tokyo is thinking that this could be the motive for killing them. In any case, everyone in the organization is suspicious.
I understand how scared you must feel. The people who attacked Takano-san and Tomitake-san could be after you too. The people in Tokyo are also concerned about that. I got the order to tighten up your security. Don't worry.
I'm very relieved to hear that. This was the first time the Mountain Dogs had ever tightened up my security. They usually become so busy keeping tabs on Irie after Tomitake and Takano's deaths that they end up ignoring me. Even though they're dead, I'm still in a pretty favorable situation. So, do you have any idea who killed them?
People in Tokyo are investigating that now. Based on the situation, it's clear that this was done by someone within the organization. I guess I'm their prime suspect.
You're the only one who could kill Tomitake like that.
That's not true. The people in Tokyo are discussing the possible use of H-173. But that drug was destroyed when the research was cancelled. It's impossible. However, they have no choice but to suspect you in this case. Mr. Tomitake even took a vaccine before he came here, but he still got infected. It must just be an extremely unlikely coincidence. Anyway, it's just impossible.
Irie is usually a very calm person, but once the people in Tokyo started suspecting him, he often loses his mind. You think Takano might be the culprit? She's someone within the organization.
Takano-san? No way.
But as he spoke, Irie also started to realize that everything could be explained if Takano was the culprit. But I don't know how to persuade him that it's the truth. I don't know if we should be discussing this with Okonogi in the room, but okay, guys. More than anything, people want to hear a motive. Not who did something, but why. Knowing that probably isn't as important as it sounds. After all, you never know the motive unless the suspect talks. Guessing about the motive is just a waste of time. In other words, it's stupid to assume that Takano isn't the culprit just because I don't know what her motive is.
Rika-san, you can't say something like that without any proof. She was very nice to you. How could you suspect her after that?
Upon hearing me be ungrateful towards his boss, Okonogi flashed me an unpleasant smile. It's true that Takano was very nice to me. It might be disrespectful of me to suspect her. However, I still can't trust her completely yet. Perhaps I've developed the same bad habit as Ooishi. Am I believing every crazy theory I hear just because I'm desperate to escape from my fate?
In any case, something bad is going on around here. Y'all need to be careful. Don't worry. We've received an order to tighten up your security, too.
Irie smiled bitterly. For him, their protection wouldn't be too different from stalking.
Rika-san, make sure that you don't give up too much information to the police. I think you understand, but you could create a problem if you talk to them about our secrets.
He was implying that he'd have to kill anyone I talked to. This isn't the first time they warned me about this. It's just, what if Takano really is the culprit? If she is, then Okonogi is almost certainly involved too. Then it would make sense that he wouldn't want me to suspect Takano. But that would be horrifying. If Takano was my enemy,
then the mountain dogs were too. This whole clinic is a lion's den. Irie is just a researcher, so he probably wouldn't know what's really going on. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. Why would Takano do something like this? I thought I just convinced myself that the motive shouldn't even matter, but I can't stop thinking about it. Is Takano really behind it all? Am I going as crazy as Oishi just because of how badly I want to solve this mystery? Perhaps. The mountain dogs are more like wolves looking after a flock of sheep. I've lived for over 100 years. I never once found out who killed me, and I stayed close to the Irie Institute so that they'd protect me. What if that was my big mistake? Well, I'm sure that Irie has no bad intentions. In many lives, I got to see just how genuine his feelings are. I can trust him. However, he's not really that reliable. Okonogi glanced over at me. He smiled and told me not to worry, but I noticed an evil glint in his eyes. It's possible that I have Hinamizawa syndrome, and that was just a hallucination. I don't understand anything. I don't even know who my enemies are anymore. There's no point in thinking about this any longer. I have to only trust who I know I can trust for sure. There are only a few of those people, though. Irie, Oishi, my friends. If Okonogi is on Takano's side, he'll be watching me very closely. If I started accusing Takano of anything, who knows what they'd do to me? When this world first began, I thought I had no time left. But that wasn't true. The number of things that happened in just 2 weeks was immense. I probably only have a few more days left until the day of my death. What can I do? How can I change this? Am I supposed to just take Hanyu's advice and resign this time? Yeah, she's been missing since the night of Watanagashi.
Could it be the curse of Oyashiro-sama?
It's freaky that this happened 5 years in a row now.
Hinamizawa is a small village. Rumors spread fast here. Besides, she's Mion Sonozaki. She would have found out about this yesterday even if the police were trying to hide it. My friends were all talking about the mysterious death of Tomitake and the disappearance of Takano. People in this village are very superstitious. No matter what happens, they conclude that everything is the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The past incidents don't matter to me either way. All I'm interested in is the current one. The culprit of this case will probably kill me too. 2 days have passed since Watanagashi. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, 1983. At the earliest, I'll get killed on the night of the 22nd. That is, tomorrow night. The day of my death is always different. I always end up getting killed, but the day when it happens varies. I guess the culprit has their own reasons for that. Hi Kimono, how are you? There's only one thing I'm sure about. Based on my experiences, I'll live for sure until tomorrow night. After then, I'll have to live with the fear of getting murdered at any moment. Still, there's no real reason for me to be afraid. Good, move more stuff today. Ooh, that's productive. Let's go. I'm also good. Fighting my Wi-Fi right now. Oh, baby, a triple. Let's go. Big streak. When I wake up, I'll be a brand new world again. I can never remember how I'm killed. That's why I'm not afraid of the killing itself. I'm just frustrated that my life is about repeating the same things over and over like a broken record. However,
At present, I'm frustrated. My classmates just expect that their peaceful days will continue forever. But I couldn't feel that way. I feel frustrated and full of sorrow, as I really don't want to die. It's tomorrow night. Are you ready, Rika? How foolish of you to even ask. What makes it look like I am? Hanyu was trying to warn me that I might get killed tomorrow night. As though she already knew it was going to happen for sure. You worked very hard, Rika. This life's Watanagashi was the best festival I've ever had. Didn't you feel that way too? It was fun. It was really fun. Satoko had band-aids all over her face, but everyone was there together and we kicked up a storm. I want this world to continue forever. I can't accept that this world is going to end tomorrow at the earliest, and within 1 or 2 weeks at the latest. I'm sure your next life will be just as fun. So this world is over and done with? This is such a happy world, but it's going to end just like that? All of my friends are alive and happy. Keiichi doesn't feel alone, and Rena's family is happy too. Mion and Shion are getting along, as well as Shion and Satoko. The issue of Satoko's uncle is resolved, and she's no longer treated coldly by the other villagers. This is the best world I've ever experienced. But this world is going to end. Rika, you think of yourself as a normal person too often, when we're both special beings. Every child wants their birthday party to continue forever, but the party always ends. That's why children always wish for their enjoyable moments to continue for all time. But that doesn't mean that they'll grieve over a party that's ended. Once they sleep, another day will come for them. Something wonderful will happen again. No one disappears like Cinderella once the party is over. What a way for you to describe my view on life. You're like a child who's crying because she doesn't want to leave the party. But there's no need to feel that sad, is there? There'll be another party again soon. You still hate to go through another death, but it's only like sleeping for a while, isn't it? Hanyu, don't you want to see what lies beyond June of 1983? I would be lying if I said I didn't. But I'm more concerned about you being consumed by that thought and getting hurt because of it. You just don't understand. Without you, I'd have to live for such a long time without anyone to talk to. And I'll only be able to stare at the festival without being part of it. No one will be able to see me. No one will be able to hear me or talk to me either. Do you have any idea how miserable and lonely that'll be? But I finally found you, Rika. I can't survive without you anymore. But I can't just die like you can either. I'll have to live alone until the end of time. I'll have to be alone until someone like you shows up again. I don't want that. I can't stand the thought of it. Hanyu. Rika, please take back that heartbreaking promise you made. I don't want you to give up if this world doesn't work out for you. Hanyu, I'm sorry. I have to think about it for a while. I want to do what I can until the end. When that happens, I could decide what to do. If I think there's still some hope, I can go on living. But if I feel desperate enough, I can just give up. It might not ultimately be a bad thing to repeat June of 1983 over and over. Perhaps I might be blessed with another fortunate life someday. Hanyu nodded with a little satisfaction after hearing that, sensing that my feelings were starting to lean the way she wanted them. What's up, Rena? Are you plotting to take Rika-chan home with you?
Hey, Keiichi-kun, don't you think that Rika-chan seems to be feeling down?
I don't know. She might still be tired from doing the dedication dance at the festival. Rika-chan was sitting all by herself, wearing a sad expression. I'd said she still might be tired from the festival, but that wasn't really how it looked.
Satoko-chan is free now, so I thought she'd have a spring in her step. But she's been acting weird since yesterday. I wonder if there's something going on.
Satoko's issues are all settled now. There shouldn't be anything that's troubling her anymore. We thought that Satoko and Rika-chan might not be able to live together if they found a new guardian for Satoko. But that problem is almost solved. Either the Sonosaki family or the Kimiyoshi family will become her guardian. Mayor Kimiyoshi is already Rika's guardian. If the Sonosaki family gets custody, Satoko will officially become Shion's little sister. Anyway, I have no idea why Rika-chan was acting so upset. I think we should ask her what's going on.
But I don't want her to think that we're insensitive. But I guess you can ask her, I guess.
So you're saying it's okay for me to be insensitive? Rena laughed and stuck her tongue out at me. I walked up to Rika-chan and struck up a conversation. Perhaps something is still troubling Satoko and we just don't know about it. If that's the case, we need to help her. You don't look so good. Is there anything weird going on?
Oh, Keiichi.
Rika-chan had been daydreaming, and it took her a while to realize that I was talking to her.
Do I look upset or something?
Kind of. Is anything the matter? It took her a while to answer. Such a long silence had to mean yes.
Keiichi, there's a poem that I want you to listen to. Don't ask me who wrote it. I just want to know what you think.
All right, let me hear it then. Rika-chan closed her eyes and recited a short poem. It went something like this. Everyone has the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to receive. Everyone has the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to fulfill. I have the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to compromise. That's a pretty interesting poem. Did you write it? Oh, I'm not supposed to ask that, huh?
No, you're not. What did you think after hearing it?
Everyone has the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to receive. I understand that. Everyone does have the right to be happy. But that doesn't mean that everyone can receive that happiness. Everyone has the right to be happy. Yet it's so hard to fulfill. This one's a little harder to understand, but exercising that right probably refers to the process of finding happiness. Everyone has the right to work hard for their happiness, but it's not that easy for that work to bear fruit. I have the right to be happy, yet it's so hard to compromise. I guess she's trying to talk about compromising your happiness. There's no limit to human desires. You can never stop wanting more. That's why people need to make compromises on their happiness. At least, that's how I understand it. If she was trying to say that we should be satisfied with what we have, it sounds like a positive statement. But there's also a negative tone to the way it's presented. I think this poem is reflecting the feelings of the writer.
I think so too. So what else did you think?
She wouldn't admit it, but I'm sure Rika-chan is the one who made that poem, and it's reflecting how she's feeling. I'm not that smart, but even I can understand that. I thought it was a sad poem.
Sad?
I understand the first two lines. Everyone has a right to be happy, but not everyone can become happy that easily. I think those lines are describing the difficult parts of our lives. But the last line is different. Making compromises is the same thing as giving up. The writer of this poem has given up on their happiness, compromised with reality, and is trying to convince themselves that they're happy.
Trying to convince themselves that they're happy, you say?
With plenty of regrets, too. Everyone can become happy with enough effort, but she thinks she can't. The poem reflects her hopelessness. It's very sad.
Then, Keiichi, what do you think she should do?
She shouldn't give up.
She shouldn't give up?
The writer of this poem already knows how she could be happy. It's something that she deserves. She's been thinking about how to become happy for a long time. If she really wants to be happy, she shouldn't give up. Remember, we overcame a desperate situation in only a few days. If we all work together, we can make a miracle happen. You saw it with your own eyes, didn't you? What's troubling you? Talk to me.
There's something I want to talk to all of you about. But if I do that, you won't be able to live in this village anymore. Happiness for me would be to see what's beyond June of 1983, together with all of you. It wouldn't mean anything if I lived beyond this June without you.
We won't be able to live in Hinamizawa anymore? Why is that?
They'll kill you if they find out I talked to you. That's why I can't say anything.
What do you mean they'll kill us? Are you being threatened by someone? The word kill is not something that most people use casually. I was shocked to hear it coming from her mouth. That's why I couldn't help but raise my voice.
I don't know who's the enemy and who's not. The only thing I know for sure is that someone is going to kill me.
Wait, Rika-chan, talk to me. What the hell is going on? Is Teppei threatening her? No, that isn't possible. The police arrested him, and besides that, the Sonozaki family told him to never come back to the village. There's no way he could contact Rika-chan in order to threaten her. And even if that somehow was the case, Rika-chan could just talk to Mion and everything would be taken care of. But based on her expression, it seems like this is way deeper than that.
I'm sorry. If I talk, you'll be dragged into this. If I lose you, I have no more reason to survive. I just can't talk to you about this. I'm not going to compromise my happiness.
I don't understand what you're trying to say. But you sound just like Satoko did a few days ago.
Like Satoko?
Yeah. You're thinking it's better to be patient. You forgot the courage needed to fight. You sound like that. Weren't you the one who told Satoko to be brave over the phone? My words had clearly hurt Rika-chan's feelings. She bit her lip and went quiet for a moment.
If I talk to you, you might get killed too.
Well, I don't want that. But if we don't do anything, you're going to get killed, right? We don't want a future without you either, Rika-chan.
What?
You may not want to get us involved, but likewise, we don't want to lose you either. We welcome the struggle. Besides, you know how powerful we could be together. I'm sure we can solve anything if we all work as one.
Not even our combined strength solve this problem.
You don't want to talk to us because you don't want to drag us into it, right? So what you're saying is that you want to die without telling us anything.
I guess that is what I'm saying.
Don't think that being patient is the same as being brave. Remember the courage to fight. You could talk to me anytime once you organize your feelings. We'll help you. You can count on us.
Thank you.
Rika-chan was wearing a sorrowful smile. I could tell that she appreciated my sympathy. I don't know why, but Rika-chan is troubled by something. It's a matter of life and death for her. She can't even talk to us about it. At the very least, she won't talk to me.
How was it, Keiichi-kun?
Is Rika-chan troubled by something? That doesn't happen very often. Satoko, this is going to sound strange, but is there any chance that someone is threatening Rika-chan's life?
What? What in the world are you saying, Keiichi-san?
Rika-chan is the village mascot. People worship her. No one would ever try to kill her. What's this? What are you guys talking about? The more I talked to my friends, the stranger it seemed that someone would try to kill Rika-chan. Everyone was even more confused than I felt. Rika-chan didn't talk to me about what's troubling her, but I'm sure there's something very serious going on with her. If she really trusts us, I'm sure she'll talk to us soon. Let's believe everything she tells us if she opens her heart. Okay? We all looked at each other and nodded. Alright, Rika, it's up to you. You gotta talk. Faded Notebook 2 and 3. The Son of God promised that he would be resurrected within 3 days. Sinful men guarded his grave to make sure he would not wake up, but that was foolish of them. He meant that his spirit and his lessons would be resurrected, not his physical shell. Do not be afraid of physical death. If you achieve great things, you will live again. You will surpass death and become immortal. A demon took the Son of God to a cliff and told him to jump off. He claimed that if he really was a Son of God, a miracle would help him survive. He tried to challenge the Lord. The Lord challenges humans, but humans may not challenge the Lord. The challenge is to suspect. Suspicion will speak words of evil into your ears, and it will make you falter. Do not doubt your own achievements. Do not doubt your own life. Do not doubt your contributions. Do not let others criticize your achievements. That is the same as doubting your own life. Hifumi T. Who is this Hifumi guy? Who is he? Also, that was some inaccurate information, but like, whatever. Oh man, we're getting some tea.